Hello, friends. In the middle stage of Harvey's Alzheimer's disease, he would rifle through the file cabinet and pull out important papers and statements and then just mark them up with heavy underlining and circling and then leave them around the house. I would come home from work and go room to room, gather up all the papers, reorganize them, and refile them. And when the behavior continued, I just changed the lock on the file cabinet. However, I realized that this paperwork, as I called it, was giving Harvey some satisfaction, and I had now taken it away. So I began to bring home blank forms and charts for Harvey just to mark up, and I created a creative solution to this behavior. Hello, I'm Dr. Renee Harmon. I'm the author of Surfing the Waves of Alzheimer's. And in it, I tell stories similar to the one I just told you, but I also discuss some caregiving principles. And today I'm going to talk about how improv can inform some of our caregiving interactions. About the same time that Harvey was shuffling through the file cabinet, a friend and I attended a workshop for caregivers put on by a woman who practiced improv and was a caregiver for her mother. And she found that employing some of the foundational working of improv improved her relationship with her mother. It was a fresh way to look at these interactions, and it helped me realize that some of my creative solutions were improvisations. So the basis of improv is learning to say yes and instead of yes but. So in just everyday conversation, if you respond yes but, it will quickly halt the flow of conversation. But if you respond yes and, then that flow of conversation can continue. I'm going to give you an example. Birmingham is a lovely city in the spring. Yes, but summer's almost here and it's going to be really hot. Yes, and aren't we glad we have air conditioning? Yes, but my unit's really old, and if it breaks, I'm going to be miserable. So you can see the person who is saying yes, but is just putting roadblocks in that conversation. But the person who is responding yes, and is trying to keep that conversation going. So professional improv players don't necessarily say yes and verbatim, but they employ that technique of just jumping into whatever situation is presented to them and just going with it. And it's my hope that we can see our interactions with our loved ones in this same light. So people who are living with dementia can say some pretty outlandish things for a host of reasons. It might be that they've lost their filter. It might be that because their memory is so poor, they don't remember certain conversations or things from their past, so they create a scenario in their brains that makes sense to them, but isn't based in reality. So our reaction as a caregiver might be to respond with an accurate statement. For example, if your loved one states, "I want to go home," you might respond, "Mom, you know you can't go home. You sold that house years ago." That might be an accurate statement, but she may be hearing it as if for the first time, and this new information is only going to cause her pain and grief. How much better to improv an answer by saying something like, "Yes, and your home is lovely. I love visiting there. Tell me more about that big tree in the front yard. I love hearing about that. And while you're doing that, let's go get some ice cream." So what I did there was agree with her. I didn't agree that we would go home, but I agreed with her in principle that her home is lovely. And then by bringing up an aspect of her home, I'm hoping to get her talking about something particular about the home. And then the redirection with ice cream is hopefully to get her off topic. If she comes back to this, I would just bring up another aspect of the home for us to discuss. Improv can teach us to stop enter the world of a person living with dementia and improvise a new, creative, and kinder response. Thank you. Be well and keep your balance.